It's not a condition or concern that can be seen, which is why it's not easily discussed and diagnosed. We're talking about mental health.
And specifically, we're focusing on a child's mental health and how it's impacted by the mental health of the mother.
It's a natural relationship, the loving communication between a parent and child.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
But if that interaction stops, look what happens. This video is from a Harvard University study called the Still Face Experiment. It offers proof of what many already know. A child's mental health, even at infant age, is impacted by the quality of their relationships.
The whole field of infant mental health is really about what are the early experiences that babies are having, say for the first 3 years of life.
Cassandra Jobert is with the Central California Children's Institute, which does research on children in our area. She says a parent's connection with even a newborn affects brain development and is as important as, say, buying the right car seat or crib.
When there's not that communication, that reciprocity in communication, if it's only one way or if there isn't someone there to consistently respond and give feedback, then the brain synapses and neurons don't connect.
I have Alex, who's 16 years old. I have Caleb, who is 9 years old, will be 9 years old next week.
34-year-old Wendy Davis is the proud mother of 4 boys. The youngest, named Ty, is just learning to walk. His birth in January of 2010 was a difficult time. Wendy had medical complications and a severe case of postpartum depression.
It was really bad. I mean, I never thought of hurting the baby in any kind of way. It was more of the detachment where I would go for a day or two where I wouldn't hold him, feed him, change him, talk to him.
It didn't take long for baby Ty to notice.
He was a very quiet baby when he was first born, and I believe it was probably because there was no interaction between me and him at the time.
There are theories about the long-term impact of broken infant-parent connections, how stress in the home can shape a child's future.
They get bottled up, quite honestly, almost like a balloon that pops. And so when they're in the preschool setting or they're in a family peer situation, you'll see some explosive behaviors potentially.
Mom Wendy Davis got the help she needed. Now at 15 months, Ty is happy, healthy, a treasured member of the Davis family.
So as you healed, then it really did influence.
It did. Yeah, that connection started to grow, and now, I mean, he's amazing now.
And everything is great in their household, but it really does reinforce that you think an infant doesn't pick up on those nuances,
right.
And they really do.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that connection's important from day one.
So still to come on this KC24 special, taking action quickly.
Why parents with kids who have developmental disabilities need to act now to get them help. Developmental disabilities in children can have lasting effects, but they can be prevented with early intervention.
Parents who've been through it before say patience is key, especially when you have to fight the powers that be to make it happen. Justin Willis introduces us to a campaign to put kids first. It's called the Children's Political Movement.
What I do, Mom?
This is Ezekiel Belcher. He's 6 years old. He's been dealing with developmental disabilities since he was 3 weeks old. It started with a respiratory virus. It went undiagnosed after repeated doctor visits. At 18 months, Ezekiel developed severe ear infections. Eventually, he suffered a severe hearing loss. His mom says it delayed his speech and language development. He's caught up now, as active as any 6-year-old, but that's because his mom took action early. She had to go way beyond the pediatrician, but it was tough to find the services. And once she did, getting access became the trick.
There is a lack of an infrastructure for educating parents and for screening children early and often for developmental or cognitive disabilities. There is no established protocol.
This is why parents and First 5 Fresno County are standing behind the children's movement. The goal is to make kids the top priority in communities. First 5's executive director says kids are often overlooked when it comes to legislation.
It's not about being right or left, it's about our kids.
Kendra Rogers says state and local lawmakers typically wait until something happens to our kids before action is taken. She says we pave the future by taking preventative measures now. Since kids can't vote, she says it's important for us as parents to back those politicians who will stand up for our children. She says the decisions we make now will have an effect on our kids as they grow.
We can only build so many jails. We can only build fund so many remediation programs for kids versus getting ahead of it, making sure that we have kids that have the foundation so they don't end up involved with the criminal justice system, who have their developmental needs met so that they don't end up in special education.
It's one of the reasons Ezekiel's mom and dad keep fighting.
For any child with cognitive or developmental delays, the more you intervene between the ages of 18 months to 5 years, the more productive your child's going to be.
And Justin Willis joins us once again from Studio B.
And I got to tell you guys, just in talking with Christine Belcher, and you could just see, the struggle that they had, but they overcame it, and it's just an example of diligence and what it means to kind of stick it out and watch out for your kids. And we've got Zoa Vang with First 5 Fresno County joining us now. And Zoa, it's not just Christine, but there are so many other parents out there that are taking action for their kids. What's a more local example of that happening here?
Well, and the children's movement is really about us as a community stepping up and not pointing fingers, but taking responsibility for the outcome for all of our babies and children. And the children's movement is a grassroots movement of which First 5 is one of the partners. And for instance, at the County Board of Supervisors hearings, we had a group of 40 community members who normally otherwise would not have been engaged. They went and sat through the entire hearings to become more educated and spoke up, challenging folks to say, that's great that we're talking about the coroner's office. Have you thought about its impact on kids? That's great that we're talking about the sheriff's budget, but have we thought about the impact on kids? And it's forcing folks to filter it through children, not telling people what to think, but that we should all be thinking and questioning and monitoring these processes.
It's kind of difficult to see how a certain piece of legislation will affect us in our future, and a lot of that has to do with our kids. So Zoa, thank you so much. All right, guys, we'll come up in the next block. We are going to talk fathers and the importance of fathers being active in their kids' life. Guys, back to you.
Justin, thanks so much. And of course, as he was saying, when it comes to pregnancy, many people do think about mom and baby, but dad's an important component too.
Dad is a vital role. We will talk about the importance fathers play in those first 5 years. We'll be right back.